Are you tired of throwing away kitchen scraps and garden waste? What if I told you that you could turn that waste into something truly wonderful for your garden? Something I like to call black gold. Composting is the way forward, and honestly, it's easier than you think. Welcome to Don't Do This Guide, your go-to channel for all things gardening. If you're new here, do hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future gardening hacks. Today, we're going to demystify the art of composting and show you the simplest, most straightforward way to get started. So what exactly is composting? It's a natural recycling process where microorganisms break down organic matter into a rich, earthy material called compost. Think of compost as a gourmet meal for your garden. It's packed full of essential nutrients that plants crave, making them healthier, stronger, and more resilient. Composting is a fantastic way to reduce household waste. Instead of sending those kitchen scraps and garden clippings to landfill, you're giving them a second life as valuable garden gold. It's good for your garden and it's good for the environment. Now you might be thinking, that all sounds great, but isn't composting complicated? And the answer is a resounding no. It really can be as simple or as involved as you want it to be. Just a little bit of space, the right ingredients, and a dash of patience. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of what to compost, let's talk about where you're going to house all this magic. Choosing the right compost bin for your space is crucial. There's a whole range of options available, from simple open bins to more sophisticated enclosed systems. If you've got a small garden or balcony, don't worry, you can still compost. Compact compost bins are readily available, or you can even make your own from an old plastic storage container. For those of you with larger gardens, you might consider a multi-compartment system. Whichever type of bin you choose, make sure it's well ventilated to allow air to circulate, which is essential for decomposition. A good compost bin should also have a lid to keep out rain and pesky critters. Now, let's talk about the heart of composting, the ingredients. Successful composting relies on getting the right balance between two key elements, green materials and brown materials. Green materials are the nitrogen-rich elements that provide energy for those hard-working microorganisms in your compost pile. Examples of green materials include kitchen scraps like fruit and vegetable peelings, coffee grounds, tea bags, and grass clippings. These materials tend to break down quickly, adding moisture and nitrogen to the mix. Brown materials, on the other hand, are the carbon-rich elements that provide structure and air pockets within the compost pile. Examples of brown materials include shredded paper, cardboard, dried leaves, straw, and woody prunings. Getting the balance right between green and brown materials is crucial for successful composting. Too much green material, and your compost pile will become slimy and smelly. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a ratio of roughly 2 parts brown material to 1 part green material. Now that you understand the importance of balancing green and brown materials, let's delve a little deeper into what you can and cannot compost. Knowing what to add and what to avoid is crucial for maintaining a healthy and efficient compost system. As a general rule of thumb, if it's natural and will eventually decompose, it's likely fair game for your compost bin. This includes a wide variety of organic materials that can break down over time. Fruit and vegetable scraps are fantastic additions, as are eggshells, which add valuable calcium to the mix. These items decompose relatively quickly and contribute essential nutrients to your compost. Coffee grounds and tea bags are also compostable, but be sure to remove any plastic packaging or staples first. These materials are rich in nitrogen and can help speed up the composting process. When it comes to brown materials, shredded paper, cardboard, and dry leaves are all excellent choices. These items provide the necessary carbon that helps balance the nitrogen-rich green materials. Now let's talk about the no-nos, the things you should avoid putting in your compost bin at all costs. Knowing what to exclude is just as important as knowing what to include. Meat, fish, and dairy products are a big no-no, as they can attract pests and create unpleasant odors. These items decompose slowly and can cause your compost to become unbalanced. Similarly, avoid adding cooked food scraps, as they can also attract unwanted visitors and disrupt the composting process. Cooked foods often contain oils and fats that are not suitable for composting. And finally, steer clear of any materials that are treated with pesticides or herbicides, as these chemicals can disrupt the delicate balance of microorganisms in your compost pile. These substances can harm the beneficial organisms that are essential for breaking down organic matter. Layering your compost pile correctly is a bit like building a delicious lasagna. You want to create distinct layers of different ingredients to ensure everything cooks evenly. Start by creating a base layer of brown materials, such as twigs, shredded cardboard, or straw. This will help with drainage and aeration at the bottom of the pile. Next, add a layer of green materials, such as kitchen scraps, grass clippings, or fresh manure. Continue layering brown and green materials, aiming for a ratio of roughly 2 parts brown to 1 part green. As you build your compost pile, try to keep it as loose and airy as possible. Once your compost pile reaches a reasonable height, finish with a final layer of brown materials to help retain moisture and prevent any unwanted odors. Now that your compost pile is all set up and ready to go, let's talk about how to keep those microorganisms happy and the composting process ticking along nicely. The key to a successful compost pile lies in regular maintenance and understanding the needs of the microorganisms that break down the organic matter. Maintaining your compost pile doesn't require a huge amount of effort, but it does require a little bit of regular attention. Think of it as a routine checkup to ensure everything is progressing smoothly. Turning your compost pile every few weeks helps to aerate the mix, providing those essential oxygen pockets that the microorganisms need to thrive. Without sufficient oxygen, the composting process can slow down or even become anaerobic, leading to unpleasant odors. It also helps to distribute moisture and heat evenly throughout the pile, speeding up the decomposition process. A well-turned compost pile is more efficient and produces richer compost. You can use a garden fork or a compost aerator to turn the pile, mixing the outer layers towards the center and the center layers towards the outside. This ensures that all parts of the pile are decomposing evenly. Watering your compost pile is also important, especially during dry spells. The ideal moisture level for composting is similar to that of a wrung-out sponge, damp, but not soggy. Too much water can drown the microorganisms, while too little can slow down their activity. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, be patient. Composting is a natural process that takes time. It's a gradual transformation that can't be rushed. Depending on the materials you're composting and the conditions, it can take anywhere from a few months to a year or more for your compost to be ready. But the wait is worth it, as you'll end up with nutrient-rich compost that can greatly benefit your garden. Even with the best intentions, composting doesn't always go exactly to plan. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, things can go awry, leaving you puzzled and frustrated. But don't worry, even seasoned gardeners encounter the occasional hiccup. It's all part of the learning curve and can be easily managed with a bit of knowledge and patience. One of the most common problems is an unpleasant odor emanating from your compost pile. This can be quite off-putting and is usually the first sign that something is amiss. This is usually a sign that the pile has become anaerobic, meaning there's not enough oxygen getting to the microorganisms. Without sufficient oxygen, the composting process slows down and produces foul smells. To remedy this, give the pile a good turning to aerate it and add some dry brown materials to absorb excess moisture. Regularly turning the pile ensures that air circulates properly, keeping the microorganisms happy and active. If the odor persists, it could be a sign that you've added something to the pile that shouldn't be there, such as meat or dairy products. These items can attract pests and cause the pile to smell. Another common problem is pests, such as rodents or flies, taking up residence in your compost pile. These unwelcome guests can be a nuisance and disrupt the composting process. To deter pests, make sure to bury all food scraps deep within the pile and cover them with a layer of brown materials. This helps to mask the smell of food and makes it less attractive to pests. If you find that your compost pile is decomposing very slowly, it could be due to a lack of nitrogen. Nitrogen is essential for the microorganisms to break down organic matter efficiently. Try adding more green materials, such as grass clippings or kitchen scraps, to give the microorganisms a boost. These materials are rich in nitrogen and can help speed up the decomposition process. Remember, composting is a learning process, and even experienced gardeners make mistakes from time to time. Each challenge is an opportunity to learn and improve your composting skills. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, harvesting that beautiful nutrient-rich compost. But how can you tell when your compost is ready to use? Well, it should have a rich, earthy aroma, a crumbly texture, and a dark brown color, almost like dark chocolate cake. You should no longer be able to identify any of the original materials, and the pile should have shrunk considerably in size. Once your compost is ready, it's time to put it to good use in your garden. You can use it as a mulch around plants, dig it into your vegetable beds, or add it to potting mixes. Compost is a fantastic soil amendment, improving soil structure, drainage, and nutrient content. It also helps to suppress plant diseases and pests, making it a true garden superhero. When using compost, it's important to remember that a little goes a long way. And there you have it. You've successfully transformed your kitchen and garden waste into beautiful, nutrient-rich compost. There you have it! Composting doesn't have to be complicated, and with these simple steps, you'll be making nutrient-rich compost in no time. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more gardening tips. Happy composting, and I'll see you in the next video!